Hey everybody, Lucas Haneman here, and welcome to this week's episode of Guitar Tone Tuesday, on which we will be spending a few minutes with the Strymon Iridium. Yes, this wonderful amp and IR cab simulator has been out for a few years now, and most of you probably know about this thing, and for those of you who don't, what an amp and IR cab simulator is it's a pedal that makes it sound like you're playing through a wonderful tube amplifier with all of its glory and more options than you would have with your typical tube amp. With this pedal, we have amp choices. You have 3 different amp choices. You have a round sound, which is made to sound like a Fender Deluxe. You have a Chime sound, which is made to sound like a Vox AC 30. And you have a punch sound, which is made to sound like a Marshall Plexi. And beyond that, you also have 3 different cab choices for each amp type. So I think that's super cool, very simple to use. That's also why I love it. More on that a little bit later. But most importantly, the sound is really where it's at. Now, I borrowed this pedal from my friend Arthur, who is a longtime supporter of the channel and a longtime friend of mine. So thank you, Arthur. And I borrowed this because I got booked for a winter festival gig. In fact, 2 winter festival gigs with my wife in our project, The Blind and the Beautiful. Now, with my wife, Megan, I usually play acoustic guitar. But we're crazy up here in Canada, and for some reason people think it's a good idea to play music outside in the middle of the winter. And yes, the stage is semi-heated, but it's still very cold. So there's no way I'm going to bring out an acoustic guitar in that kind of weather. So I asked Arthur, I said, hey, I want to play electric guitar in this gig. It's got a very fast turnover. Bands are getting on and off the stage one after the other. So I wanted to borrow this thing from him. And he obliged. So what we're going to do on this week's episode of the show is we're going to hear this thing in its 3 modes of operation, and we're going to talk about why I think it's really, really, really great. So let's get to the 3 different sounds with 3 different guitars. You're going to hear a Strat style guitar through the round sound, Fender style sound. You're going to hear a Les Paul Special through the Chime AC 30 style sound. And you're going to hear an Eastman T185 MX through the Marshall Punch sound. Let's get punching. Man, oh man, were you guys as impressed as I was with the sound of this thing? I truly find the round sound sounds a lot like a Fender Deluxe. The chime sound really sounds like a Vox AC30. And, of course, the Marshall sound, the punch, gives me Plexi vibes for sure. I think it's awesome. Now, I gotta clarify one thing. In those playing examples, you may notice that there's a monitor behind me, and in front of the monitor there was a Shure SM7B microphone. The microphone was there for experimental reasons. I was thinking about miking up the monitor to see how that would sound. It didn't really do the job quite as well as going direct. So what I did was this pedal has two outputs. I sent one of the outputs directly to my interface, and that's the sound that you guys are hearing. And the other output I sent to the monitor, so I was hearing myself in the room. And I think it did a great job on both fronts. But I gotta say, one caveat there is that you're not hearing the sound of this thing in the room, the ambient noise. I didn't manage to catch any of the festival footage, unfortunately, because I was playing. But I did manage to catch some sound check footage from a gig I had right afterwards. Every Sunday night here I have a gig at a local bar, and I caught some sound check footage of me playing a G&L Partscaster guitar through this thing into the PA system. So check that out, just so you guys can hear the ambient sound of the Strymon Iridium in the room. So very quickly, as for the controls on the pedal, we have typical kind of amp controls and then a couple that are a little bit different. We have our volume and our gain, so you know how much saturation you want and how much level you want. That's pretty self-explanatory. Down here we have a 3-band EQ, treble, middle, bass, and then we also have this room control here, which controls the amount of room sound that you have in your tone. It's not a reverb per se. What it is to me is it's like, you know, if you have this control all the way down, what you're hearing is a direct mic on your cab choice. And then as you turn this control up, you're adding in a room mic and varying amounts of that room mic into your sound. In all of the playing examples, I had that room function on in some capacity. Sometimes it was higher, sometimes it was a little bit lower. But I really think it adds a nice three-dimensional quality to the sound. And then as for extra stuff, well, you know, we have the 3-band amp choice selector. So is it your Fender sound, your Vox sound, or your Marshall sound? And then we have 3 cab choices. And for me, I'm doing all this by ear, so I just choose the one that sounds best to me. They all sound vastly different, actually. Like on the round sound, I really prefer the 210 cab. On the Marshall sound, I really prefer the 412 cab. On the AC30, I really like the, I think it's a 212 cab. But they all sound really great. And there's also a favorite switch, so you can favorite one of your sounds. And in addition to turning on and off the pedal, you know, what you could do is you could favor the sound, say it's a clean sound, and then you could dial up, you know, maybe a Marshall-y style sound, and then go back and forth, almost like in a channel switching type scenario, just by hitting your favorite switch on and off. So that's very, very cool. As I say, we have 2 outputs here, and it's a very simple unit. That's what I like about it, personally. You know, for me, sometimes these types of things can be a little bit dicey because I don't see very well, right? So certain things like, you know, some of the Line 6 products with a touchscreen, I can't even think about going there. Even editing a Kemper profile would be complicated for me. Whereas this thing, it just feels like a Strymon pedal, and it's not complicated. There's no screens. It's simple, and that's what I like about it. Is it tweakable? No, not so much. And maybe Strymon can do something to make it more tweakable, but I don't care. I just turn the knobs until it sounds good. That's the way I do it. So please let me know in the comment section below, do you have any experience with a Strymon Iridium, and what did you think of the sounds on today's episode of the show? Did you like them as much as I did? If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we will see everybody again very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.